The Quantum Mechanics of Immortality, a mind-bending exploration. Imagine a world where you never die. No matter what happens, whether you get into a fatal accident, suffer from a deadly disease, or even grow old, you always continue to exist. Sounds like science fiction, right? But according to a controversial interpretation of quantum mechanics, this might not be as far-fetched as it seems. Welcome to the mind-bending world of quantum immortality. What is quantum immortality? Quantum immortality is a theory derived from the many worlds interpretation, MWI, of quantum mechanics. In simple terms, it suggests that if consciousness is tied to quantum states, then a version of you always survives in at least one parallel universe, no matter what happens. This means that from your own subjective experience, you will never experience death. The many worlds interpretation, proposed by physicist Hugh Everett in 1957, suggests that every time a quantum event has multiple possible outcomes, the universe splits into different branches, each containing a different outcome. For example, if you flip a coin, in one universe it lands on heads, while in another it lands on tails. If applied to life or death situations, this means that whenever you face a scenario where you could die, there's always a version of you that survives. The Schrodinger's cat experiment. To understand this better, let's revisit one of the most famous thought experiments in quantum mechanics, Schrodinger's cat. Erwin Schrödinger proposed this paradox in 1935 to illustrate quantum superposition. Imagine a cat is placed inside a box with a radioactive atom, a Geiger counter, and a vial of poison. If the atom decays, the Geiger counter detects it, triggering the release of poison and killing the cat. If the atom does not decay, the cat remains alive. Quantum mechanics suggests that until the box is opened, the cat exists in a superposition of both alive and dead states simultaneously. Only when an observer looks inside does the cat's fate become definite, either alive or dead. Now, if we extend this logic to ourselves, quantum immortality suggests that in any scenario where your life is at risk, there is always at least one universe where you survive. From your own perspective, you will always find yourself in that surviving universe. The thought experiment of the quantum suicide machine. The concept of quantum immortality is best illustrated by the thought experiment known as quantum suicide. Imagine a scientist who builds a machine that is tied to the decay of a quantum particle. If the particle decays one way, the scientist is killed. If it decays another way, the scientist survives. Each time the experiment is run, the universe splits into two, one where the scientist dies and one where they survive. According to MWI, the scientist will only ever experience survival because they can never be aware of the universes in which they are dead. While outside observers might see the scientist die, from their own point of view, they will always find themselves in the version of the universe where they remain alive. What does this mean for real life? If quantum immortality is true, it means that from your personal experience, you will never cease to exist. Even if you get into a fatal accident, your consciousness will always continue in a version of reality where you miraculously survive. Think about extreme survival stories. There are cases of people who survive falls from thousands of feet, recover from terminal illnesses, or escape certain death in impossible situations. While most of these cases can be explained by medical science and probability, quantum immortality suggests that in some universes, those people didn't survive, but we are only aware of the versions where they did. Does this mean we live forever? While quantum immortality suggests that you may never experience death subjectively, it does not mean you are invincible. You can still suffer from aging, accidents, or illnesses, but in every fatal scenario, there will always be one reality in which you continue to exist. Over time, however, this could become more of a curse than a blessing. Imagine living in a world where everyone you know has passed away, but you somehow keep surviving. If the universe doesn't find a way to keep you young or restore your body, you may continue living in a decayed, weakened state for eternity. In this sense, quantum immortality raises more philosophical and ethical questions than it answers? The limitations of quantum immortality. No scientific proof. There is currently no experimental evidence that quantum immortality is real. It is based on the many worlds interpretation, which itself is a theoretical framework. Death for others still exists. Even if you never experience death personally, others in your universe do. This means that quantum immortality, if real, would only apply to your subjective experience,